So, the big test and challenges awaits us in new forms of Shining Falls, and it's up to us to able to claim the next Royal Seed once we make our way to the very top of the Shining Falls. Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only, Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I'm back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we have completed everything for the sake of the forms of Fluff Puff Peaks, and in addition to that, we also did manage to return back into Petal Isles, just in case we can able to obtain some more Wonder Seeds, and all that stuff, so yeah, not much else to add up for this point. So yeah, today for this video is about the fact that we're going to be continuing exploring for the game by going into World 3, known as Shining Falls. So, right from the get-go, as you can tell, that there is no powers to be found this time around. So, unlike the forms of how it does on the previous worlds, there is powers there. Whilst in here, though, in World 3, that could be also applied for the later worlds to come, that it does not seem able to contain any powers levels. So because of that, it's all just likely also for the sake of the forms of tests and all that stuff. So we can pretty much guarantee for the fact that we can able to pop into Master Poplin right here, and able to tell us about the fact that we must able to actually go through a serious amount of levels in order able to actually continue proceedings for this. So, I actually really kind of like this world, and I will admit though right away, we might able to actually consider able to actually just to finish up everything in this entire world during the forms of a singular run through. So because of that, because I will admit though right away is that this world is going to be pretty short, especially concerning for the fact that, well, it wasn't until whenever we get to later on though, that it might actually be considerably a lot shorter, which even then though, we'll save that particular topic until for later. So for now, we're able to actually guarantee to able to get ourselves the Wonder Seed, of course, much like in any other, like, worlds up to this point. Well, the only time exception being is, of course, the forms of the first world, just because we somehow claimed the first badge. So, anyways, so the Wonder Seed color this time around, though, for the sake of the forms of, well, Shining Falls, and that's what appears to be buddy forms of a red color, or pink, or I have no idea, because I couldn't pay attention to the forms of the actual, like a color coding system, but, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that at the very least we stumbled across into the fourth, Wonder Seed color, and something tells me we will be able to come across into, the red Royal Seed, or something like that, or just anything else like that, so anyways, let's get to it with the forms of Shining Falls, and as I mentioned this before, this particular world is going to be filled to the brim with a lot of trials that we have to go through, so yeah, this should be a piece of cake to me anyway, and we'll buy something on Poplin's shop, not only for the sake of the forms of that particular Wonder Seed, as I have somehow obtained, but also with the forms of some more standees, which hopefully we'll try to able to guarantee to get more, and exponentially speaking though, is actually going pretty smoothly, especially considering for the fact that, well, again, there might be a couple of times that we will come across into duplicates, but so far so good, we're actually getting some new ones from time to time, and I believe we're actually onto the halfway point in terms of getting those specific standees in order able to fully 100% in the entire game, so yeah, at least, at the very least, we're actually getting ourselves a lot of progressioning around here, so that's a pretty good thing to notice from this point. So either way, a few things I want to explain for this point today is, potentially speaking of, is that today's date of course is the 12th of January today, in some cases in 2024 today. You noticed about the fact, I suppose, that both Sonic and Knuckles have completely forgot to mention about throughout the course of the forms of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze playthrough, so that recently yesterday, Prince of Persia The Lost Crown has recently got itself the actual, demo to be released. So because of that though, yeah, if you really want to try out the game out, well, by all means you can able to download it for free for the demo version, so you can able to actually just to practice the controls, whilst it wasn't until specifically until 6 days later than the actual proper game of Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, which should be releasing by that point. So And I'm not exactly sure what the reviews is going to turn out to be, but I'm sure enough we'll be able to find out more details about that, specifically until next week, so everything else will become to expect at that point. Oh, and another thing too, yeah, we did somehow finally watch the 3rd season of Sonic Prime recently, so, but then again, no, we're probably going to be able to let both Sonic or Knuckles to able to actually mention more details about that until specifically next week, so just in case we don't want to mention any spoilers from now on. So either way though, that's saying something, I suppose. So anyways though, there's also another thing I want to mention about this as well, is that I'm pretty certain that Capcom 74, he's now on to, presumably speaking, that he's on to the forms of the halfway point in terms of the actual progression for Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix playthrough so far, which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that, well, after all, that he's actually gone to the forms of a lot of progressioning so far. Although, there might be a couple of times, though, that he will be able to show off some new forms of, more content later on, though, which we're not going to get into any spoiler details for the time being, especially concerning for that particular point that, after all, he's actually doing really dang well for his progression-wise, and it's especially noticeable about the fact that, oh, jeez, that was close. Although, exponentially, since we're going to be using, Red Yoshi, you can also manage able to eat up the actual Wonder Seeds with your tongue, so that way you don't have to worry about just keep on getting hit a lot, so, and something tells me I need to jump on one of those enemies right here, so we can able to get a good enemy bounce height, and there we go, so that way we should get ourselves the gold flag icon, so that should be all pretty good, so... But yeah, for the most part, this level is pretty self-explanatory, as long as you know what you're doing. So, anyways though, there's also another thing I want to mention about this as well, is that I believe next week is about the fact that I believe not only does, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is going to be releasing on the PlayStation 5 next week, but also, until next week anyway, that the Nintendo Switch game, Another Code Recollection, is going to be releasing next week. So, exponentially, you can able to try out the forms of the remake of not only the DS game, but also the Wii game as well, at the same time. So, anyway, Unreachable Treasure. So, something tells me we need to create those, or activate those invisible blocks, so just in case we can able to reach up all the way higher up, and then that way we're able to actually get ourselves the, what else, the next Wonder Siege right there, so... yeah, it's not too shabby for the most part, especially considering for the fact that once you pretty much know exactly where that is, well, unless if you're trying to able to equip one of the badges, well, it's hard for me to say about this at the moment, because obviously, no matter what though, I'm pretty much used to with the forms of the parachute cap at the moment, just because no matter what though, that particular badge is pretty useful to me, so... anyways, let's move on to Crouching High Jump 1. So, poof, badge challenge. So, in some cases though, taking those from the likes of Super Mario Bros. 2 or Super Mario USA, for those of you who lived in Japan, you can able to actually perform a crouch high jump. And just like the forms of how it does it on Super Mario Bros. 2 or Super Mario USA for Japan, basically though, once you're able to crouch for a long period of time, you can able to actually charge up to able to perform a high jump. So, relatively speaking though, it's actually pretty similar for that regard, especially concerning for the fact that you can obviously try to able to pull this off no problem. Although, thankfully though, you can now able to actually just do a bit of a slide technique once you're in this process. So, at the very least, that's something as usually it's kind of like the improvement, as far as I was meant to say. So, either way though, yeah, that basically takes care of the forms of one of those badge challenges, and straight to the point that we can able to actually unlock that particular the badge or anything else like that, so we can able to exponentially. I was gonna use it, but I'm probably not gonna use it right now until specifically later on. So at least it was the point about the fact that, well, again, I can't offer for myself about the fact that with this parachute cap, it's really useful in my opinion. So anyways though, before we get on to the forms of the next level, we need to go the ones in over here to tackle through the next trial, which appears to be by the forms of the Angular Fish trial. Ready, aim, fly. So, I get the strong sense of feeling about the fact I don't think it's possible we can able to actually get that particular 10 flower coin, because I believe it does manage to require an elephant transformation, well, only for Mario, Luigi, and the rest of the gang, because I'm thinking about that particular point that I don't think Yoshi can have the ability to able to hold up the actual, the big shells, as you can see, because I'm pretty sure the elephant transformation is the only method that we can able to actually go ahead and, carry these heavy objects, like specifically these heavy shells. So, yeah, that's the only thing we want able to replay the level from time to time, specifically in this stage anyway. Although then again though, the reason why I have to able to show off every single characters in each and every single level, just to show some bit of variety, you know? So, I digress. So, apparently, though, is about the fact that one thing I should probably also want to mention about this as well is that recently, during the forms of, I would say since yesterday actually, recently is about the fact that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is now going to be hosting some more spirits that we can able to obtain. And certain spirits are actually based off from the most recent Nintendo Switch games nowadays, which there are. One of them based off from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, one of them from Pikmin 4, one of them from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and finally the ones in Splatoon 3. However though, I'm a little bit disappointed about the fact that they do not contain any of those spirits based off from Super Mario Bros. Wonder, because I would say about the fact that they might try to add that later, but it's hard for me to say, because I know for a fact that for one reason or another, that, it's kind of hard for me to say, honestly, even though I'm glad to be back on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at the very least, so I can able to actually just try to able to obtain some more spirits once the actual entire spirit board has been completed, because I'm pretty sure straight to the point that no matter what though, we can pretty much gonna have to find out more details about the forms of what's to be coming up, until specifically, oh geez, some more angular fishes are actually trying to aim for us. Although exponentially though, in the Wonder effect right there, we have to make our way to the very top of that particular segment, and hopefully we should able to get ourselves, what else, the next Wonder Seed. And once we're done with that, then obviously the Wonder Seed is yours to keep. So, yeah, for the most part it's pretty simple. So even then though, assuming of course if you're trying to able to do a well-timing bounce on the enemy jumps or something like that, then you should be able to pull this off no problem. So yeah, I get the feeling that we might come back into this level again until specifically once we play as any other characters from now on. So, anyways, before we do anything else, the golden flagpole that we somehow achieved. So, awesome. But, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that much like in certain, spirit battles in the past years, that, is gonna be likely limited time offering. So because of that, well, thankfully though, I did somehow manage to able to already obtain those spirits, like I mentioned about this briefly, so at least I don't have to necessarily try to worry about waiting for a long period of time to able to actually make that event happening again. So that's one reason or another. So alright, so we can able to actually go ahead and get the next Wonder Seed, but before we do that, we'll switch over to Light Blue Yoshi, just in case, you know, again, show some bit different, character varieties for one another. So, anyway, watery Wonder Tokens, so, in some cases, break time, so, and I think this particular stage is also going to be pretty easy as well. Well, if you mess up, at one point, in Journey forms of this break time, segment right there, there's actually the forms of not only one, but two pipes you can able to actually enter in one of what pipes you want to go into, and then basically though you can able to restart this entire process again. So, or potentially speaking of just trying to able to re-grab that particular Wonder token that you somehow missed. So, but either way, this stage is pretty simple. And I believe for the most part it's about the fact that we've almost at the halfway point already for the sake of the forms of Shining Falls already. So, anyways, let's do the forms of another Surge Party, but this time with the forms of an empty park. So, I think I get the strong sense of feeling about the fact that with this particular Surge Party stage right there, this one is a little bit tricky to me anyway, but that's just mainly because, assuming of course, depending on what badge you've equipped, basically though, sometimes though, it's about the fact that trying to find those hidden blocks can be felt a bit tricky to memorize, especially concerning whenever I first got there, I have to look it up, which is especially concerning for the fact that back in Journey Evolves Event sometime when this game was first launched, in Evolves Event 20th of October in 2023, that basically though is about the fact that I have to seriously try to look up on guides, not able to actually just to get to this point. But thankfully though, since we're now in 2024 anyway, that basically I don't have to worry about just trying to able to utilize the guide too much. So, well, assuming of course, depending on the forms of different taste anyway, so yeah, we got able to find every single of those hidden blocks, so just in case we can able to not only activate those specific obstacles, but also about the fact that something tells me is that one of those wonder tokens is also going to be hiding around the forms of whenever we try to find those invisible blocks. So yeah, sometimes it might take a bit of a while to able to actually find those things, sometimes, like I just missed one right there. So something tells me that yeah, I'm going to be able to do a massive search, so but relatively speaking though, is about the fact that when you're trying to get the hang of it though, it's actually not too bad. So, well, assuming of course, no matter what though, if you have a first time playing these kinds of levels like this, you're gonna have a hard time trying to able to actually find whereabouts is the forms of those specific wonder tokens to be found. So, anyways, so I get the feeling that the next wonder token is gonna be somewhere. Oh, that's actually at the very end of the level. Alright, so there we go. So at least we found another one of those wonder tokens. So I believe the last one is going to be somewhere in the midway portion of the level. So, oh jeez. Sometimes they can be pretty scarce at points for trying to find those specific stuff in mind. So, just got to make sure if I double check in here, there's nothing in here. Ah, there we go. That's where it's at. Okay. So, yeah, as soon as we're done with that, obviously the Wonder Seed has now appeared, so we can now able to leave the level. So, oh my goodness. It actually almost took me about 5 minutes or something like that. So, because of that, though, again, you have to search everywhere in order to able to actually proceed for this for the most part. So, anyway, so that pretty much does it from there. So we can now able to continue things on for this point and hit on to the next level, which as a result is another trial, and this time what appears to be by the forms of the Midway trial. Hop to it. So I think something tells me we need to chase after that particular enemy over there. That something tells me it does manage to contain a wonder flower inside it. So hopefully it won't give us that much trouble or anything else like that until specifically in the later worlds to come that it might actually give us a bit of a lot of challenge to it. So, but anyway, so as a result for that particular matter what for this point folks is that I'm really hoping about the fact that when it comes to the forms of the NSO you know, Nintendo Switch Online update, that hopefully by that time until specifically sometime in this year, hopefully we should able to actually get the last batch of the Nintendo 64 games on the lineup. Like, after all, we've already got all of the Mario Party games on the Nintendo 64 for its, you know, Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack right now, and on top of that, we somehow got every single Mario Kart games up to this point, likely for the sake of the forms of the one on the Super Nintendo, as well as the forms of the Nintendo 64, and the one on the Game Boy Advance as well, and, it's a shame about the fact I don't think it's possible we can able to actually get not only Mario Kart DS, but also with Mario Kart Wii to be re-released on the Nintendo Switch, unless if you're trying to deal with the forms of the emulation hacking or something like that, which I'm not going to be planning to do that, because obviously I've already got those games physically, so. And as a result, because obviously I've now somehow got every single of those Mario Kart game physical games now, so similar to the forms of how it does on the Mario Party games, that I somehow managed able to got every single physical copies of those specifically, those two spin-off series for the Mario games. So, like I've now got all of the Mario Kart games up to this point, except with the forms of Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, but that's just mainly because no matter what though, the pricing with those RC cars is still pretty pricey up to this point, and on top of that, there was no not enough space for my room at the moment when it comes to experiencing the game. And of course, let's not forget ourselves with the forms of Mario Kart Arcade GP DX for the sake of the forms of emulation, but that's just mainly because, well, I don't think my laptop will run very well when it comes to that particular emulation, so... But at least it's worth a shot, so... And, when it comes to, like, Mario Party games, when it comes to physical games that you already know, that we've got every single one of them, except Mario Party E, but that's just mainly because the e-reader only exists in Journey forms of in North America, and I believe that could be also applies for Japan as well. Whilst compared to the European countries, though, they've never seemed able to actually get the e-reader accessory, so makes obvious sense, kind of thinking about it. So, anyways though, so we get ourselves with the forms of this level right here, and we'll dive right into it right now. So in some cases though, the Sugar Star Trial Across the Night Sky. I will say is that this particular level right there is probably the best level to able to actually farm some more of those flower coins, because I did manage to able to test this on my own time for a bit. When it comes to likely, if you really want to go after those remaining standees, then this is a good level for you. When it comes to the forms of trying to able to farm a lot of those flower coins, as you can tell, because obviously this stage is going to be not only pure and simple and easy, but it's also straight to the point about the fact that once you do manage to able to collect quite a lot of those mini flower coins, then you should be able to try to farm those things no problem. Like, you can able to actually get all the way up to, like, I don't know, 30 or something like that. Well, assuming of course of how many times you replayed this particular level so many times. And also, if you do manage to equip or choose Nabbit on the stage like I just did right there, then you should be able to try to get some even more flower coins for that particular visible block that did somehow summoned by, well, Nabbit. So, pretty swell. But, yeah, pretty easy level to me, especially considering for the fact that I was pretty much used to that level whenever I managed to replay the stage multiple times, assuming, of course, if I was able to farm some more of those, you know what I'm saying, with the flower coins in mind. So, anyway, so I believe it wasn't until when it gets to the point about the fact that it's, oh, I should also mention about this as well, is that I'm still pretty much gonna have to go after certain Mario platformer games when it comes to, like, physical cartridges. Like, after all, that we've already got Super Mario World now for the SNES cartridge version, or specifically the Super Nintendo cartridge version, because obviously I just want to keep that for my collection. Although I can still able to technically play the game thanks to the forms of the Super Nintendo Classic Mini for its improvement quality for the actual 720p, and on top of that runs at 60Hz mode rather than 50Hz mode, because I could imagine if I was trying to play through the game on 50Hz mode, that would be quite a bit tricky situation, especially because, you know, your momentum feels a little bit more different, and you probably need the rest of it though. Also, taking a notice from Super Mario Bros. 3, we have to able to activate those blocks right there in order to able to actually just try to go after that Wonder Seed right there, until you're able to create a path, and you should be good to go. So, yeah, not too shabby for this particular stage. Although, keep this in mind though, you have to able to keep on activating the actual timer block, so just in case you don't want to fall off and die. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and switch over back to Mario, if I can just select him. So there we go. So now we can able to tag along with the forms of the next level, which appears to be the Sharp Trial, Launch to Victory. So, whenever I first got to this level, whenever I first played this game, I have no idea how on earth I'm supposed to able to get those flower coins, but as it turns out, you need to able to try utilize with those enemies right there, while they do manage to come out of the forms of the bamboo stick platforms. And exponentially though, is about the fact you have to use that enemy, not only just trying to able to actually get one of the flower coins, but also that one of the wonder flowers is going to be existence on this level. So, and thankfully we've got the elephant's transformation back, so just in case we can able to easily try to able to make the entire experience a lot more easy to manage. Well, it won't be too easy or not too hard either, like it wasn't until whenever we get to the ending portion of the game itself or something. So, but then again though, we should probably save that particular topic for later. So, But either way though, let's just hope about the fact that we're able to try to find out when does Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 will be launching on the forms of the NSO expansion pack eventually, because obviously this year will mark the 25th anniversary of the series introduction for, you know, Super Smash Bros. For the entire series. So anyways, there's a flower coin right there. Well, nothing too special about it, unless if we try to find the third and the final 10 flower coins somewhere. But we have to be fast on that part, just in case we can able to, you know what I'm saying, getting some more coins, and of course the singular flower coin. So anyways, let's go ahead and get rid of those big Goombas, so just in case it doesn't get in our way. By the way, if you dare ground pound on that particular block down there, obviously that is about the fact that the Wonder Flower will go into the bottomless pit, and you cannot reclaim it until you decide to lose a life, or even in some cases, you can able to restart the entire course again if you so much more desires. So, and speaking of which though, we somehow turn into this particular strange creature right there, which I found was actually pretty cool, especially considering that, again, it does kind of reminds me like a Super Mario Odyssey vibes, although except the fact that it's all likely in 2D plane. So, as a result, you know, think of like this game is like the equivalent to Mario Odyssey, except, well, there's no Cappy to be found. And on top of that, Mario and Luigi's voice has now been replaced by the forms of a different actor, you know? But anyway though, I suppose no matter what though, it's about the fact that until by that time, until next month, next month is going to be the 10th anniversary of one of those film releases of the Lego Movie. So, yeah, I'm pretty curious to know if I'm about the fact that I'm trying to able to celebrate that during at some point in next month. So, that's usually going to take place in sometime in Valentine's Day or something. So, anyway, so we've gone through that, and we'll finish the level for good. So, nicely done. So I think, fundamentally speaking though, with that particular level coming up, you know, with the ones that at the moment right now, that the Piranha Plants is actually messing around and what have you, well, I believe something tells me is that we need to find one of those secret exits, because it was mandatory if you really want to progress. So that's something worth classifying for keep an eye on for. So anyway, so, oh, by the way, every time whenever you complete the stage for the first time, obviously, Master Poplin decides to able to pop up, and something tells me he just keeps on mentioning about the fact that your skills is actually really, really good. So, anyway, another break time as we go on to Timer Switch Climb. So, yeah, it's basically, it's kind of like exactly the similar level as the forms of that other level we've done for Nabbit, except now we need to do a lot of climbing vertical stuff, as opposed to the forms of horizontal stuff ever since in Journey forms in the previous stage. So, at least thankfully we can able to utilize the wall jump to able to make things a little bit of a cakewalk, even though it's a bit weird about the fact that this game has been absent when it comes to likely for triple jumps. So, when it comes to likely if you're trying to able to, like, time your jumps well enough to able to create a triple jump. So, anyways though, so let's go and switch over to a different character by the forms of Luigi, and able to actually tackle through, I think, relatively speaking though, we're now on to the last level in the forms of Shining Falls. So, I told you this world doesn't take too long to able to get certain progression like this. And that's what appears to be the final trial, Zip Track Dash. I think is what it says anyway. Yep, Zip Track Dash. And as I said this before, I believe in this level's case, we do need to require to able to actually find this secret exit. Because if you find a normal exit, I believe something tells me we need to go back to the stage again and able to actually try to find a secret exit that way. So, yeah, you see what I mean whenever we able to decide to go after the remaining of the forms of the 10 flower coins for sure. So, hopefully that should be the case here. So, anyways, let's go ahead and just do some bit of ducking involved and just try to jump over certain things. And, yeah, because what if I first got to this stage for the first time, actually, I just couldn't seem able to remember the forms of the level layouts quite well. And thankfully, the Wonder Flower is not too far, so we can able to once again turn into this strange enemy right there. And exponentially just trying to able to just, well, time your jumps well enough. Even though despite I'm also able to bypass those specific 10 flower coins, but then again though, we'll be back for those if we manage to go into this level for the second and the final time, presumably speaking, so... Yes, thank you. And do a massive jump right there. And sure enough, we've somehow made our way to the Wonder Seed as we go along. Nice. But of course, if you think we've done, well, we got some more little platforms right there. Oh, there we go. I actually kind of think about it. I almost assumed about the fact that the actual flag was supposed to be red, but as it turns out, it was actually black. So technically speaking, though, we found the real normal exit. So yeah, I wasn't paying attention to that, so I do apologize for this point, folks. Especially because I'm pretty much used to finding certain secret exits in certain stages. But either way, yeah, somehow we've got every single Wonder Seed in this world. So it seems to have a lesser amount compared to the forms of how it does on the previous worlds in the game so far. So yeah, that's actually interesting. So anyways, let's go back into this stage for the final time to grab the last few remainings of the forms of the 10 flower coins to its disposal. So hopefully that should be the case for this point. And I think afterwards though is about the fact that we can pretty much guarantee we're most able to do one of the levels in Journey Forms have been Petal Isles again, or anything else like that. So anyway, I was gonna be able to try to focus here, especially concerning if I mess up one of those specific timing jumps, likely or so for this part right here, and yeah, there we go, so we should be able to do this okay enough. But if you do die, I believe, oh, there is a checkpoint right there, so, okay. I almost assumed that this particular stage just does not bring any checkpoints, but apparently it does, so... Now, I think that pretty much takes care of the forms of this entire stage right now, so that should pretty much do the trick. Yeah, sometimes I have to jump occasionally, so just in case I can able to, like, try to go through a serious amount of dash panels from time to time. So yeah, you see that particular exit as we found? Well, there is no Poplin house to be found, so as a result, instead we're able to get course clear. So yeah, nothing really happens there. So yeah, that's what happens if you manage to find that particular exit. So yeah, you have to able to find a real normal exit until you're able to finish the stage as normal. So anyways, before you finish up the entire world, there is actually that one last 10 flower coin we need to get. That's what appears to be on this stage. So we'll go back onto the forms of the anglerfish or the anglefish. Trial, ready, aim, fly. So just in case we can able to actually just to take care of the forms of that last collectible, aside from the forms that are the Royal Seed. So, and also, I believe something tells me is about the fact that in order to able to actually just try to able to actually open up the last thing, well, again, we'll probably pretty much have to save that particular topic once we finish this world completely first. So anyway, so yeah, as you see right there, since we're in the elephant transformation, we can only turn into an elephant transformation if we manage to decide to carry heavy objects, like the heavy shells, for instance. So, something that's one thing to keep an eye on for, so... Anyway, so let's just go and skip these, oh, there's actually a block there that says represents Luigi right there. And all it gets is just the actual singular flower coin, but that's okay, because hopefully we should be able to get even more until eventually whenever we go into the next couple of levels to come, so... Ah, dang it, that particular anglefish did somehow screw me up, but thankfully though, the enemy decides to respawn, so that should be good. Alright, so we have to aim the shell upwards to get to this pipe, and sure enough, we will find the final 10 flower coin somewhere. So much to the point right there. Although you can also use the big shell if you really want to toss it upwards, but I always attempt able to do some pretty cool tricks, like just jump onto an enemy and then hope for the best, so... And I believe that was pretty much it for the most part, so... Yeah, it's just no matter what though, like I said before, there aren't any palaces to be found in this particular world, so... Exponentially, all we have to do now is just basically we have to make our way to the very top, and we should able to get ourselves the next Royal Seed with no boss fights at all, so... pretty strange kind of thing about it with this transition between those worlds in mind. So, and by the way, this could be also applies for one of those worlds coming up, which then again, we're not going to go into any further details up to this point. So, anyway, so now we're done with that completely, and sure enough, we will pretty much finish up this entire world very easily. So, again, this is one of the shortest worlds in the game, so either way, Royal Seed Mansion. So, I do apologize for my commentary, it's a little bit slightly iffy at some point, because obviously, there's not much else I can talk about when it comes to forms of news, discussions, or anything else like that. So, I mean, personally speaking, though, is about the fact that I was very happy to go back onto Super Smash Bros. Ultimate after, you know what I'm talking about. I think the last time we actually had something new related to Spirits was actually back in 2022, where it comes to likely bringing ourselves Evil Ryu Spirit based off from the forms of, well, let's just say, Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers, and exponentially, the reason why that spirit exists back in 2022, they're able to mark the celebration for Street Fighter 35th anniversary or something, so that could be the reason for it. So there we go, the third Wonder Seed has been claimed, and we are done with the forms of Shining Falls. So, but of course, before we finish up everything on that particular world, there is technically one more thing we want able to point out, is that, well, as soon as we're able to leave this entire world, then obviously, much like the previous worlds that we've done, obviously though is about the fact that we have to able to go back into Petal Isles, so just in case we can able to actually get rid of those, another one of those Cloud Piranhas, so we can able to actually just to like, dispose of it. Because I get the feeling the one on the left, it might be still stuffing the one on the left, which, as a result, the one on the right will take us all the way back into Petal Isles, so, yeah, we should take on the ride with this. And I think, fundamentally speaking though, we've only just got about a couple of worlds to go, so, yeah, it doesn't take that long kind of thing about it. Although, sure, it can be lengthy sometimes, depending on what level we go into, so... Anyways, let's activate the third Royal Seed to get rid of another one of those Piranha Clouds. And sure enough, it was the red one, so... Because I get the strong feeling the next color we might come across into, it will be, like, yellow. So, yeah, because I get the feeling that the next world coming up, well, after a serious amount of those levels that we have to deal with first for Petal Isles, I believe the next color we might bump into when it comes to Wonder Seed is going to be yellow. So, at least that was I was thinking about this anyway, so... Oh jeez, looks like Bowser's going to be able to try to do something this time. Well, in regards to the forms of Castle Bowser, potentially speaking, so... Yeah, it seems to be more specifically though, is about the fact that, well... Yeah, it's going to get a little bit more aggressive around here, so... But still, we've only got 3 more Cloud Piranhas left to get rid of before we basically stop Castle Bowser, and hopefully we should be able to restore that particular castle has been stolen, so... So, yeah, not much else to say about this, I guess, so... But either way, and I'm pretty sure no matter what though, we've only got 3 more Royal Seeds to go until we've basically done everything for this point. So now, as you can tell, that I'm pretty sure that we can able to actually go whatever we want to go into for the sake of the forms, depending on what walls you're going to tackle through first. So, you do have the option at the very least, which it wasn't until once we finish up with the forms of certain levels first. So, yeah, we can either go on to the 4th world, the 5th world, or the 6th world. So, yeah, possibilities were endless, but obviously we need to take care of that particular level first. But I'll save that for a later time, just because no matter what though, we'll go back onto the forms of Shining Falls for, presumably for the final time as of now, because if you try to go back into Royal Seed Mansion, basically though is about the fact that we can able to actually have a talk with the forms of Master Poplin again, and exponentially he'll gives us the last little our reward if we managed able to meet up with him again. And I think we can able to actually activate that particular secret propeller flower. That way we should be able to actually access that point. But then again, we're probably not going to be able to go into that particular world just yet, because we need to take care of the forms of the main stuff first. And thus, I do need to grind some more extra lives in the future. Just in case, no matter what though, is about the fact that that particular world, you might able to actually recognize up to that point. It pretty much leads us to the hardest selections of levels. So, but then again, no, we'll save that for a later time. So, anyway, Shining Falls is completely done, fully 100%. So, yeah. Too easy, piece of cake. And no matter what though, is about the fact that it's actually pretty easy, like I said before. And no too many deaths on that, so that should be all pretty swell. So, I suppose with that being said though, is about the fact that we got the endings off this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch. Is that, I think what I'm gonna do, is that I'm actually gonna be tackling for the majority of the levels for Petal Isles first, before we dive right into certain worlds. Like, for example, once we're done with all these individual levels for Petal Isles, I think what I'm gonna do, well, actually, kind of thinking about it, I should probably save that particular topic until next Monday or something. So, yeah, I'm just gonna focus on Petal Isles for now. So, I'll see you guys until on Monday. Later, fellas.